goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. Are you still mine? Oh, I need your love.
Hey, my name is Tony Eshelman. Diane's been my wife for almost 51 years.
What's your favorite part about her personality?
Oh, we don't have time. We met about 55 years ago in college on a blind date that was set up by a mutual friend.
My name is Amy, and I am Diane's oldest daughter. Always feeling loved, I think, was huge. She always hugged us and loved us all the time. What I've always loved most about Nona is just knowing she was always there for me, no matter what. And that she always made everything more beautiful.
My name is Amanda Burton, and I am Diane's daughter. There are a lot of favorite memories. It's gonna make me cry. She's very strong-willed and independent.
She's always been upbeat and spunky.
And also very loving and caring and thoughtful.
We always called her MacGyver. She could fix anything with not the standard tools that you'd normally need.
She's always been a very positive person, enthralled by art and a practitioner of art like no one else I've ever known. When the person sat down for their first portrait sitting, she'd say, okay, how old do you want to be and how much do you want to weigh?
She was introduced to art at a really young age, and that's what got her desire going for drawing and painting. And
she showed me cards she used to send to her mom, like notes she would leave with all kinds of drawings and illustrations, and she'd turn envelopes into like animals' heads and all kinds of really cool things as a little girl. So I think she knew in her heart of hearts that she would be artistic, or she just was artistic from a young age.
One of the most exciting things about Diane's work is that she can do anything. A lot of people will do little landscapes, 8x10 landscapes, you know, and most of them look alike. But she could do landscapes, still life, portrait, drawing, gouache, watercolor. She could do it all, which is pretty rare in the art world.
She was elected into the Providence Art Club, which I think was pretty hard to do. She had all kinds of awards as a young artist living in Providence.
well, I remember when we were little and she would have classes up in her barn studio, she would pay us to be her models. My sister and I would either dress up maybe in all black, and she would use strings to kind of put around different parts of our body to make shapes, to show people the negative space around the body and how that was related to the different proportions of the body.
Some of her most fulfilling times were when she was teaching. She taught painting and drawing for 13 years at the Lime Academy, where she was an associate professor. And she taught more people that thought that they didn't have an ounce of talent to do pretty good work.
What is your favorite memory of her painting, and do you have a favorite painting that she's done?
I think the last major painting she did, which was a life-size portrait of a man who was a benefactor of a prep school called the Hopkins School in New Haven. She worked on it for over a year. She got a half an hour with this guy, live. That painting had buildings in the background that this guy had donated to the school, and she almost painted them brick by brick. So perfectly done. And that's the most significant thing she ever did, and she was very proud of it. John C. Malone, yeah. She was being wheeled down the hall by a nurse, and I was just arriving there to see her, and her face lit up when she recognized me, and the nurse who was pushing her asked, "Who's that?" She said, "That's my hero."
Yep, it was wonderful.
At least she knew who I was.
Good little moment, yeah. Yep. First time I noticed that there was something wrong with my mom's memory while my dad was away on a fishing trip, and she called, and there had just been a huge thunderstorm. She said she was out walking, doing her hill walk in the middle of the thunderstorm, and also claimed that Nono was out at a bar with his friends in a truck. Just some like really odd kind of statements from her, and we actually ended up driving down there that night. I just had a feeling something was off.
We went to every doctor in Connecticut, I think, to figure it out, and finally went to a Yale neurologist who decided that it was Alzheimer's. I would say kind of a devastating effect. It's not something you can deal with, like having a disease that there's a cure somewhere you can be operated on, or you can take chemo, or it's just there's no hope. It's just a matter of when. She has days when she's a lot sharper than she is on other days, when you can have a reasonable conversation with her.
Well, she sometimes says, "I am just so happy." Like she has moments of being really happy or funny.
We have good times together. She has her sense of humor, and those are the best days.
I mean, I think what's so hard for all of us is that she's somebody who has always noticed beautiful things, and like it's sort of the tiny moments that she always talks about, like the light on the trees, or like the pet of a tiny bug or a feather or a shell. Like it's just, she's a noticer of things that are beautiful, and that's what her work was, and our house was filled with beautiful things. And so as her memory has started to decline, to see those things sort of break and fall apart and become dusty, and for her to lose that ability to see those things is hard.
I think the irony between Alzheimer's disease and being such a beautiful and talented painter, how can a brain that can create such beautiful works of art then deteriorate to a point where you can't perform basic function?
What's one of the best things you've heard her say recently?
No, when she tells me she loves me and thanks me for being with her as much of the time as I can, those are very touching moments.
I'll walk in the door and give her a kiss, and I'll just get down at her level and look right in her eyes, and she almost every time has just said, "I love you." Right off the bat, and I tell her I love her back, and I tell her what a wonderful mom and grandmother she's been, and I just try to remind her of that.
My two daughters and their husbands and their children have been with us every step of the way.
I think that our connection as a family is a lot stronger because we've all gone through this together, and you guys too. Like, I feel like I'm closer to everybody in the family, and there's a lot less sort of wasted time thinking about things that just aren't important, you know? I appreciate that part of the Alzheimer's journey.
Well, certainly art is her major legacy. We've got a basement full of paintings. We've got a house full of paintings. She's had a wonderful, wonderful life. Wonderful life.
Hello, Diane. It's your brother John calling, and I have my daughter here with me.
Hi, Aunt Diane. It's Marissa here.
Now, Marissa's stopping off to visit me on her way to Europe. We're going to Amsterdam, but she spent the last few days with me, and we look forward to this opportunity to speak to you jointly.
We hope you're well, and we were just doing some reminiscence of the nice times that we've had and the nice occasions we've spent with you from my early days when I was quite small smaller than I am now, and when you were still in Berkeley with Uncle Tony and Amy and Amanda and Spot the dog, who I used to love to come and visit and smooch up on because I didn't have my own dog.
Hi, Diane. This is Sandy. Ingrid and I are thinking about you. We love you. We've been talking about all the times that we were together with the Christmas fairs. Do you remember those? And also the summer fairs, and how hard we all worked for it. And you were one of the inspirations that did it. Hope you're feeling okay. And Ingrid and I just wanted to tell you that we love you very much, and we miss you, and you take care of yourself. Sandy, bye.
Hi, Diane. This is Nick and Lee Eshelman calling you to say hello to you today and talk about some wonderful memories that we have with you all over the years. One thing we were thinking about quite fondly was all of the wonderful Thanksgiving dinners that you and Tony hosted, going way back to the time you lived in Berkeley and then all those years in Killingworth. You invited all of us, both Tony's family and your family, and it was really quite an undertaking to have all those people each year.
What an effort that was for you, Diane, for so many years, and you were always such a gracious hostess, and everything always looked beautiful. It was really quite an occasion for all of the family, and I know how much it meant for all of the relatives. I know for Dorothy how important it was to think about having that kind of a wonderful holiday to look forward to.
Hello, Diane. It's your older sister, Wendy, and
Erica.
And we are calling to wish you a very happy birthday. We miss you so much, and we think about you a lot. And I just unpacked some of your artwork in my new home, and I just can't tell you how joyful it makes me feel. Paintings that you did of Mother and Erica and me, and so many memorable places that we've been together. So everything comes flooding back, and with much love for your birthday. We treasure you so much, and we want you to know that we love you.
Mom, mother, wife, sister, mother-in-law, cousin, friend, teacher, artist, gardener, homemaker, and my best friend. When I opened God's little instruction book and read, "Your words are windows to your heart," I knew that something had to be said. How do you write a poem about losing your mom? It's going to be very hard to do and still remain calm. This is the person who carried you for 9 months in her womb, then nurtured you with her love and helped you to bloom. She was always there for you no matter what time of the day, and put you first in her life, always in each and every way. She would make everything in life better, no matter what, and tend to that bruise or splinter or cut. A kiss, a hug, or a few supportive words were always her way, and she offered them with love to me each and every day. She was the strongest person I have ever known or ever met, and she encouraged me to reach every goal I ever set. She was sharp as a tack and very witty too. She made everything more beautiful, like only she could do. Lilies, peonies, daffodils, and lilacs were some of her favorites. She'd pick beautiful bouquets to share so we could all savor it. She'd remember the punchline to each of Dad's jokes, much to his dismay, but he'd laugh and start all over, maybe sometime the next day. We used to call her MacGyver, for she was very clever. She could fix almost anything, like making a toothpick into a lever. She was a tremendous housekeeper and made our house a home. We'd run up the driveway after school to find her shoveling loam. Every year when school would start, she'd sing Rise and Shine at the top of her lungs, followed by school days with all of her tongues. She loved to do most anything, garden, weed whack, vacuum, and blow leaves. She took so much pride in her home, set back so beautifully amongst the trees. She had a great sense of humor, and that was no rumor. She'd remind us how important it was to keep it and never become a doomer. She loved animals very much, and we enjoyed quite a slew. Titus, Mista, and Echo, just to name a few. We also had some sheep and geese, and a pony named Lady, too. One of the few animals we didn't have was a cow that could moo. She loved to give back rubs. Bonnie Pruden was her mentor, and taking away headaches was what her strong hands were meant for. She had a gift of making everything she touched more beautiful than it was, wrapping presents, making meals, or a fresh bouquet of flowers just because. She enjoyed making crafts for the church with her friends Sandra and Ingrid. Angel Loft was the name of their group, and they were all so gifted. She was also a seamstress and made many of our clothes. She also made the house curtains while standing on her tiptoes. And how do we describe her painting talents adequately? By counting all the lives she's touched, on canvas and in reality. She's made friends in church, as a teacher, and as a sister. She was a friend to many, and many have really missed her. My dad used to call Mom and I bookends, and for good reason. It seemed we became more like each other, season after season. She loved to sing with the ladies in the Killingworth Church Choir, and we loved to hear her voice as the notes rose higher and higher. She always appreciated music when she worked in her studio. Canon and D and Vivaldi would make her cheeks come aglow. Her beauty was obvious on the outside, but more importantly on the inside. She'd give generously to anyone in need. Unconditional love was her guide. She loved her family unconditionally, and that was very clear. So when it came time for us to take care of her, we all did shed a tear. Taking care of us was always her role and not ours. Now we were helping her. It felt like we were on Mars. Alzheimer's was not supposed to happen to this wonderful woman I call my mom. I still needed her guidance in my life to help keep me calm. But suddenly the tables were turned, and it was my time to help her. The past 5 years have gone by so fast, and many days were a blur. I'm thankful for every minute with her, and I try to make her smile. A hug, a kiss, or brushing her hair always helps for a little while. Talking about the birds or flowers or reading her a book, a familiar voice in the room always makes her take a look. And even though she can't speak to us very well anymore, we know she is trying so hard and frustrated down to her core. On occasion, she'll still call me sweetheart, which tells me a whole lot. It tells me a part of my mom is still here, even though most of her is not. And there is another special person, Zim, or Jim, as he is known to most. He'd come to her room, she'd smile, and then she'd start to boast. For he was one of the few that she didn't forget to forget. There was something special between them every time that they met. And when the day is done and we are FaceTiming with her in bed, we always say the Lord's Prayer as she gently lays down her head. We love to see her angel painting hanging over her on the wall and ask for them to keep her safe until the Lord shall call. Please, God, take my mom into your loving arms and never let her go. She will forever be a part of us everywhere that we will go.